Now I'm taking you straight to Kenya, Nairobi, with the Nairobi Securities Exchange. Stock prices have had a very interesting week. They've continued to retreat since Wednesday, despite higher earnings reported by key bank stocks for the half year to June period. Now, this reflects the effects of foreign investors selling on their holdings. Uncertainty raised by the delay caused by the legal challenge of opposition leader Raila Odinga to the elections has also done little to help investors' confidence. The burst has shed a total of 103.8 billion Kenyan shillings in investor wealth in the past 1 week, largely on retreating share prices of large banks and Safaricom. Economist Dr. XN Iraki joins me now from Nairobi, Kenya, to look into this. Dr. Iraki, welcome to the show again. Let's look at this straight. We're seeing prices retreat and not plummet necessarily. We'll just use the word retreat. What do you think this is related to? More external, a domestic issue, or an even combination of the two?
Good afternoon. I think it's a combination of two. One of them is internal. We expected a straight winner in our polls, but we didn't get that. So one of the contenders has gone to the Supreme Court to contest the results. And the market is reacting to that. Number two is that if you look at the interest rates in other parts of the world, UK, US, and so on, they have gone up. It is possible that some investors are withdrawing their money from the Kenyan market and taking it to other markets where the returns are expected to be too high. Also, the third reason, I guess, is the dividends being given by the big companies are not as good as expected. And that is taking the investors away and making the prices go down. I know one or two banks that did not give the dividends, the investors are reacting to that.
Okay, so I mentioned Safaricom, so let's go straight to that. This is the most lucrative firm in Kenya. It recorded a net profit of 67.49 billion Kenyan shillings for the fiscal year that ended March 2022. But in recent weeks, we've also seen the share price of Safaricom fluctuate. The telco stock fell about 2.3% on Wednesday to 29.10 Kenyan shillings per share. What's affecting Safaricom right now?
I'm trying to hear your question.
So I was talking about Safaricom's situation with how well they've done so far, but in the recent weeks, we've seen a bit of a fluctuation with their share price. So what's affecting Safaricom?
I think Safaricom is being affected by whatever is affecting the whole market. Uncertainty over the presidential polls and some people moving their money from Kenya to other countries because of high interest rates. And more important, people did not see the profit they expected. Remember that Safaricom is one of the biggest movers in the Kenyan market. So people watch it very closely. And even the regulators are saying that the Safaricom and four other companies are having a very big effect on the stock movement. Probably that should be looked at. So I think Safaricom is just reacting to the whole market, external issues and internal issues. Not anything very special.
Okay, so we've seen across the continent, when you look at some of the activity on stock exchanges across the continent, that local investors seem to have been a bit more active recently than the foreign portfolio investors. Are we tying all of this back to the global uncertainties around a potential recession or stagflation, the Ukraine-Russia crisis? What do you think is sort of leading to that? And is the same thing happening in Kenya as well?
Yeah, that's a very interesting observation because about 10 years ago when maybe 20 years ago when President Kibaki became the president, Kenya's stock market was very active. We had a lot of IPOs. Kenyan generating company was floated. So then we had Safaricom. But we haven't had an IPO recently. So our local investors are probably not as active as they used to be in the past. One is because we haven't had a lot of IPOs. But it is possible that because of crisis elsewhere, what the external investors will be doing is what the local investors are doing. They are taking up the slack in the market. It is very possible.
Very true. All right, I have just a few more questions for you before I let you go. We've seen bank stocks with Kenya right now, which are quite normally sensitive to industry movements. They haven't really been doing quite well, even though there have been some good news coming from the record half-year profits. Is there anything else affecting the bank stocks that maybe is affecting how they're reacting to the progress and the positive inflows coming in?
I think one of the most interesting things I've noted about banks, and I must confess I have stocks in a few banks, is that they usually very, very lucrative. So when the economy is doing very badly, you get some good dividends. the economy is doing very well, we still get dividends. And I think the reason why the banks' prices have not done very well is one, the dividends were not as good as expected. I told you earlier, there's one bank that I know that is not offering dividends. So investors are probably seeing not good prospects as they expected. But again, it's a question of the political uncertainty and what is happening in Kenya. Until the political fog has cleared, the market will probably stay flat.
All right, finally, Dr. Iraki, let me ask you, what do you think we should expect? What should investors and the markets be expecting in this new week? I'm asking you to look into your crystal ball. What do you think it's going to look like as we enter into Monday?
I'm struggling to get your question.
So I asked your predictions for the next week. What do you think the markets will look like coming out of this week into next week?
I'm not getting the sound.
Oh, I apologize. Okay, unfortunately, we may have to leave at that. Just wanting to find out what investors should look for in the coming week, given the performance of things in the Kenyan, I wanted to say Nigerian, in the Kenyan stock market. And it's been an interesting one. There have been higher earnings reported by key bank stocks for the first half year to June period. But even with that, we saw a retreat by stocks on the Nairobi Securities Exchange. A conversation will continue to follow. You are watching Business Edge. We'll get into NC4 to watch a few stories to keep your eyes on as we go into the weekend. And NC4 to watch kicks off in Nigeria, where the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, FAN, says about 5 international carriers have completed plans to relocate their Lagos operations to the new terminal at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport to end months of underutilization of the $100 million facility. The Ghana Cocoa Board has announced that purchases for the 2022 light crop season will cease at close of business on Thursday, September the 8th. Now, according to the board, returns on the declared purchases will be accepted up to 4 p.m. on September the 15th in order to assist the licensed buying companies to obtain the final returns from upcountry. Malaysia and India are the latest big buyers eyeing Kenya's avocado after China, as the fruit continues to attract more international markets. Officials from Malaysia are currently in Kenya carrying out a pest risk analysis on the Kenyan avocado as they seek to start buying the fruits from local farmers. And finally, Japan is expected to pledge some $30 billion in aid for African development at a conference to be held in Tunisia this weekend. The aid will center around developing human resources in order to promote economic growth and will be announced at the Tokyo International Conference on African Development. And that's the business we have for you, concluding a week of business right here on Business Edge. Don't forget to follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can also download our mobile app. You can watch us on the platforms we're available. And of course, meet us up on YouTube. Many thanks for watching and staying with us throughout the week. At 12 p.m. West African time, News Central Now comes your way with the latest from here on the continent and beyond. I'll see you at 11 a.m. West African time on Monday. I'm Tolulope Adeleru-Balogun. Have a fantastic and restful weekend.